What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded, and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow! Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 100 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Magnum, my brand. Everybody put a Magnum in the air now. From you a drink Magnum, let me see. Take charge of things now your place now. From the river to the beach to the street. Hot Magnum when me have in a me hand there. He are a sipper, she tell me sweet. Look for me watch for your quick time check. Yeah. Right now a Magnum for your beat. Enjoy yourself every day of the week with a Magnum. My life I forget sweeter. Must be 18 years and older to drink. Drink responsibly.
Chip, chip, chip. We wanna get chip, chip, chip.
Give your little smartie the perfect smart start for their future with CHIP, the child investment plan from TDC Financial Services. Invest in your child's next step, and we know what's next is always changing.
Chip, chip, chip. We wanna get chip, chip, chip.
CHIP is a long-term plan with no minimum deposit, no monthly commitment, and you're guaranteed a special high interest rate per annum.
I want chip. I want chip too.
Visit TDC Financial Services today and get CHIP, the child investment plan, providing the best head start for every child.
Chip, chip, chip. We wanna get chip, chip, chip.
And welcome back to Voices here on Win FM. I am Jermine Abel, sitting in today for your regular host. Yes, your regular host, Socrates and Jamster. And we are going to take a look at preparedness for the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season, which is expected to be one that is above normal. Yes, forecasters have predicted that it's going to be a very, very busy one. And as you would have seen already, the Hurricane Beryl made landfall in Grenada and its dependents, St. Vincent and the Grenadines as well, and their dependent islands. And there have been significant devastation and impact. I know previously when I hosted Inside the News, we heard from the Prime Minister in terms of, and you heard it a little bit on the news here, a bit of he was basically giving an overview of his visit to Grenada. And then he recently visited St. Vincent, where he basically, saw the devastation first, and he and several other regional leaders. And like I said, our regional leaders are going to be meeting this weekend for their CARICOM Heads of Government meeting, which was actually postponed from earlier this month because of Hurricane Beryl. How prepared is St. Kitts and Nevis? That is the big question that's being asked. We're expecting powerful hurricanes, frequent hurricanes. I was looking at the weather forecast, and one of the meteorologists, he did indicate that the peak of the hurricane season, or the hurricane season, is actually expected to pick up the last week in this month to the start of next month, and that's not even the peak of the hurricane season. So we're going to hear a bit from Abdia Samuel here. He was engaging reporters recently during the simulation exercise, and he was asked point blank about how prepared is St. Kitts and Nevis for a potential impact of hurricane. prepared is St. Kitts and Nevis? We're in the hurricane season. We've seen a Category 4, Category 5 storm pass. First up, how prepared are we?
Can you truly be fully prepared? Bearing in mind that with the experience in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as well as in Grenada, they were prepared. They were prepared to deal with the impacts of a Category 5 hurricane. However, we see the destructive nature of these natural storms. So therefore, here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we continue to prepare in the best way that we can. And this exercise that you are witnessing today is one such way in which we are preparing, identifying gaps, and we have the time now to be able to now fill these gaps and address some of the concerns that the exercise is addressing and identifying. So it is important to really assure the general public that we are, meaning the NEMA, is doing everything possible with the support of the government to ensure that we are in a state of readiness to deal with a Category 5 impact.
Okay, what can you tell us about the exercise? Well, it seems as if you're preparing for such eventualities, and you've had the Prime Minister here and a lot of the stakeholders. What can you tell us about these sessions?
Thank you for that. This exercise is crucial and it's critical because we have witnessed what has happened in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and in Grenada. So therefore, it gives us the time to continue to prepare and strengthen ourselves. And it's a gigantic effort whereby the policy and technical levels, they have to have synergies. The critical element for us to be able to go through this exercise or an impact of this nature is to ensure that we have leadership. And the leadership has to be demonstrated from the very top, meaning from the Prime Minister's level right down to the community level. And we are seeing that the Prime Minister is intricately involved. So we want to make sure that we prepare him and we have him ready to be able to lead the nation if we have to face such impact. But not only him, but also the technical levels and our district volunteers, our community levels. We also have to ensure that our international and regional partners, as well as our private sector partners, are in that state of readiness, are in that state of great communication, great networking, great partnership, so that we can have that all-of-society approach to address an impact or to deal with an impact of a Category 5 hurricane.
In your exercise that you have just done, did you see anything that requires urgent change or urgent change in direction as to how you all are doing it now, as to how, based on the experience down in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as we perhaps we better go the opposite direction?
And that's critical. That's the reason for the exercise. And yes, we looking at the practices in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Grenada, and looking at the way we also do some of these things. We are now adjusting ourselves based on their best practices, based on what has worked for them, what has not worked for them, what we have in our systems, in our frameworks, and we are making the necessary adjustment to improve our framework to ensure that their experience, regrettably, will bring about some practices that could enhance and strengthen our capability to be able to resist or mitigate some of those impacts that were faced in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Grenada.
Tell me about hurricane shelters. How does it work? Based on the fact that this was such a strong storm, do you think that our structures are up to par in terms of facing that kind of onslaught?
Based on my discussions with some of our engineers, our building practices on St. Kitts, those practices here are strong. Our infrastructure seems to be a bit stronger than some of our colleagues in the south. And we are comfortable. We do trust the practices that are exercised on St. Kitts and Nevis. However, like everything else, Mother Nature is a very, very strong force to deal with. So as much as we have all the great practices, even though we feel confident that our building practices are strong according to the standards, Mother Nature can do otherwise.
You made mention of gaps earlier. What are some of the gaps that you've noticed that St. Kitts and Nevis have so far?
Well, one of the early gaps, and let me say the early gaps, is leadership at technical levels. I think there's a level of complacency because we have not been impacted in a very long time. So where Trinidadians will say God is a Trini, maybe we know saying that God is a Kittish and Nevision. So this will not happen. So we need to now shift that level of leadership, commitment, and seriousness to ensure that people really take this destructive force of hurricanes at Category 5 very serious.
Mr. Samuel, have you mentioned the observation process of the 3 days and that all the gaps will become compiled at the end?
Yes, that's what I said early. Okay, so you're early. Okay.
I don't know if you expounded as to the observation of the 3 days.
Right, so for the exercise, I said early observation, but for the exercise, what we are going to do is at the end of it, we're going to have an after-action review. We call it the ARR, and that after-action review, there is where we will compile all the observation being made by the observers and the evaluators, and then we're going to address all these gaps and ask the cabinet in particular to make interventions, whether it be financial or otherwise, and possibly look at legislative framework to empower some of these public sector agencies, ministries, to be able to carry out the functions in a very effective and efficient way.
2 questions. One, you talk about infrastructure, but you more focus on building codes. Outside the building codes, infrastructure in terms of power, in terms of telecommunications, how prepared is St. Kitts and Nevis when you talk about this? You engage with those key stakeholders. What sort of feedback have you been getting?
Well, the reality is, as I keep repeating, that Mother Nature is a very destructive force. And we just received a historical report from one of the utility companies where they said, listen, when Irma impacted Anguilla, all the cell towers went down. And they were built to resist Category 5. So the reality is that Mother Nature can be such a destructive force that even if you build for Category 5, Mother Nature can actually disrupt, destroy these infrastructure. They are confident. They are confident that their structures should be able to resist. But in the event that everything is wiped out, like was experienced in the South, then we are looking at Plan B's, different contingencies, Plan B's, Plan C's, to be able to support the general public in becoming connected as soon as possible after an impact.
The long term, how prepared is St. Kitts and Nevis food-wise, based on your interview discussions with stakeholders, the supermarkets, the farming industry, the farming sector, agriculture sector? How prepared are we food-wise for the long term should St. Kitts and Nevis be impacted?
Right. So I have had some conversation with those partners in the food services sector, and we are quite comfortable that they'll be able to provide us with food for a long period of time. They have indicated they have enough stock for the next 6 months. So they have a 6 months worth of stock. They have also indicated that if one supply chain is interrupted, they have various means of getting food into the country. Additionally, it's important to note that we will continue to partner with the private sector. SEDIMA has had some agreements with a number of cargo services providers, whether A or C. And what they will do is that they will prioritize the affected SEDIMA state in the event that we are impacted. So then we can use those routes to get food and supplies into the country. But I am very pleased to know that they have, meaning the food services suppliers, they have indicated they have up to a 6 month supplies of food.
What feedback are you getting from the education officials? You know, some of these schools are utilized as shelters. The whole schools could be wiped out,
yes,
right? And the education sector could be totally impacted. What plans do we have? Because school opened in September.
Excellent. Wonderful question. So I take you back to COVID days, the Ministry of Education has informed me, or the agency rather, they have informed the agency that if the infrastructure is damaged, then we will move to an online or virtual teaching. We have the platform, it was tested during COVID, so we will revert to that until the facilities are repaired and we can get the students back into physical structures.
What about the matter of community awareness education? Do you see any gaps there?
Well, there's more partnership that needs to be, addressed. We want to make sure that we cover all the vulnerable groups, because sometimes these vulnerable groups are somewhat marginalized. And what we are doing is working with different agencies. Just recently, I was approached by the LGBTQ, I think it's plus, in terms of shelter. They have also approached me about other procedures. So it's important that we continue to look at how do we take this whole of society approach with these vulnerable groups. We also have a large community of Spanish-speaking, French-speaking persons. We also have persons from different countries that do reside in St. Kitts. So we want to make sure that we have messages that cater to them. We also have the persons with a disability, the association with disability. They are actually integrated into our systems to make sure that they are captured, to make sure that they put in their input in terms of how things should be for them, what is best suited for them, so that they can be catered to once we face those type of risks to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
The health sector, Abdias, we know that for those with the kidney failure, they come to St. Kitts to do dialysis. If in the event that we have this major disaster, what becomes of them?
Okay, so excellent. So we have excellent partnership with PAHO in particular, where we can get PAHO to respond in country. We have a PAHO rep here in St. Kitts, but the Ministry of Health has indicated that they have a robust system that will be able to do that, support that response. In the event that they don't have that, we will then use our networks. They will also use their networks to be able to reach out to the regional and international community. And we have those partnerships with a number of NGOs that they can come in and provide that level of support to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So we have that covered in that aspect through the regional response mechanism with CDMA.
Are we looking to maximize on the essential medicines that we need, like those for pressure, diabetes, and the insulin, and so on?
I'm happy that you asked that, because the PS just, in his reporting, he would have just indicated that PS Martin would have indicated all of that, and it's part of their plans in terms of the medication stock. It's not only for pressure, but there's a plan as well for insulin, and the insulin has to be refrigerated, right? So there's a plan for that. And there are also contingencies plan, and these contingencies plans that if the main plan fails, then we revert to those contingencies to support. It's important to note that we have a great partnership with Global Support Development. They have resources that can give us major support. We also have that regional response mechanism whereby CDMA will provide us with sufficient partners and donor groups that will be able to respond to the need. What we are seeing right now in Grenada and St. Vincent is an overwhelming response to that particular impact. So there are many partners in the international community that are willing to give us their support, and they have already pledged their support in the event of medical emergencies, communication emergencies, no matter what it is, logistics, transportation, if we have to evacuate people from Nevis to St. Kitts, St. Kitts to Nevis. So all those arrangements are in place if we are overwhelmed nationally.
Including our field hospital, all of that is still...
Our field hospital, remember during COVID, we were able to partner with Southcom, and we were able to receive 2 field hospitals. One is in Nevis, one in St. Kitts, and I think it has about 46 beds thereabout. So that is significant for us because, persons can shelter and also they could be attended to medically right there.
And sanitation has been an issue in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Grenada.
Yes.
What are we doing about that for ourselves? Because
No.
they need a lot of portable potties and all of these things.
Yes, so excellent. We do that is in place. Again, I'm sorry that St. Vincent and the Grenadines were the first out the bat, but that has positioned us to be able to have that partnership with the different regional suppliers and partners who have those in stock. So there are agencies that we can lean to, and we could have those in syncets within a short period of time. So we have, the beauty about it is that we know where all these partners are. We have the networks. There's a tested and proven system for the regional response mechanism, which I applaud and endorse through CDMO, that will get us these resources as we need them if we are affected or impacted.
Okay, finally, what was the lesson that you learned from Beryl?
Beryl taught me a significant lesson. No matter how much you're prepared, you have to do the essential things. For example, building practices, ensuring and enforcing the building codes. However, yes, nature, but follow the guidance that is provided by a scientist. I remember in my first regional briefing about Beryl's approach, I was concerned at first with the first forecast given. And when we looked at all the variables, I remember being one of the advocates stating that this is going to intensify to a category 4 or 5, and we should be preparing for a category 5 as opposed to a category 2, because that's the category it should have impacted. So therefore, one, we must be guided by the information provided by our scientists. Two, the critical thing that we need is leadership. If you don't have leadership, then you're going to have a disoriented response. It's going to add to the crisis. It's going to add to the crisis. Three, preparation is key. The essentials. Persons can be displaced and will be displaced. You have to make sure you have the basic essentials for persons, which are housing. You must have that shelter. Persons need somewhere to go. Two, medication. We know what our societies suffer from. That data is there through the Ministry of Health. We have to have that medication. For health. For food. We have to have food for our people. And we have to make sure that we people share that responsibility between the state and themselves. It has to be a shared responsibility. So you cannot just depend on the state alone, right? Let us make sure we focus on those more vulnerable groups as opposed to just relying on the state. But the state will do its part to ensure that it brings that partnership with the public, right, for responsibility when it comes to that. The next thing is to make sure that we have the relief supplies. You have to have those relief supplies to make sure that we address that. Persons want to get back into the home as soon as possible. Okay? The wood, the tarpaulin, things of that nature, we need to make sure that we deal with that. The next thing is safety and security. We need to make sure that safety and security, because persons are going to still attempt, to loot. It's evident. It's happening right now. The last thing I want to advise in is civility. We must exercise civility and follow the guidance of the government of the day. It's critical. Okay? Very critical. And the last one I want to share with you is information. The media has to partner with the agency, support the agency, and the agency must make information available to you to disseminate to your viewers and your listeners and your followers. Those are the critical elements that we need to address. The matters of financing and everything else, that will be a long-term problem that will be there for years to come. Because no country, even the mighty United States, with what happened in Katrina, no matter how much money they had, we saw the devastation that Katrina caused on New Orleans and the other states. So what I'm saying is that let us look at those basic essentials. Get your plans in place. Just take 5 minutes and say, hey, if this happens, where do we go in the house? If this happens, who do we call? If this happens, who are the key people that we can get assistance from? If this happens, Where are the critical facilities, police station, fire station, health centers? Where do we go? That's a simple plan, and that's a critical plan that can save your lives. I listened to a story in St. Vincent or Grenada, one of the two, where a lady said that they were sheltering in a church. And the shelter actually, the church collapsed, the roof went and the church collapsed. And in the middle of a category 4 hurricane, in a category 4 hurricane, they had to leave that shelter to find shelter. Imagine that. And you're talking about zinc flying all over. You're talking about containers being lifted and taken 200-300 feet. So you could imagine the power. And as the Prime Minister just stated, he doesn't understand how people survive in Union Island. He doesn't understand with the devastation. And it's the same my colleagues are saying. It's a situation that we have the information, we have the example, and I am appealing to the general public to support the agency, support the government, support the state in being prepared for such eventuality.
2 things. I recognize that with a lot of the deaths in those islands, they were due to fallen trees. I think that is something, that was just a point.
Yes.
I think that's something that we need to pay close attention to, the trees around us. And the next thing, I hope you have counselors, psychologists on board for psychosocial support.
Welcome back to Voices. You are listening to head of the National Emergency Management Agency there, Abdiel Samuel, talking about the preparedness of St. Kitts and Nevis regarding the Atlantic hurricane season. As we know, Beryl devastated 2 of our sister islands and their dependent territories down there. Well, 2 territories and their dependent islands, left in its wake billions of dollars or millions of US dollars in damage, and they are still recovering down there. So the question is, how prepared are we? Last week the National Disaster Agency, NEMA, and its stakeholders held a 3-day simulation exercise to get a better understanding of how prepared St. Kitts and Nevis really is when it comes to Hurricane Beryl. Well, correct myself, when it comes to the Atlantic hurricane season, right? As you heard there from the National Disaster Response Coordinator, there are a number of lessons and takeaways from the Atlantic hurricanes. A lot of takeaways from what happened to St. Vincent and Grenada, right? And some of those lessons that were taken away, they can use to better prepare St. Kitts and Nevis for the Atlantic hurricane season, which again runs from June 1 all the way to November 30th. And the peak, we are actually heading into the peak of the Atlantic hurricane season right now. We'll be heading into August, and forecasters are predicting that we can see more storms coming out during the month of August as we head into the actual peak, which is normally in September. The Atlantic Ocean, the water is really, really warm for this time of the year, and that, along with some other climatic conditions, are being blamed for what is expected to be an above normal season. So how prepared are we? How prepared are you? You can call in, share your thoughts on that and more as we continue here with Voices. I'm Jermine Abel, sitting in today.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WIN FM.
Rams
Financial Services. We're here for you to help you make your dreams come true. Whether your needs are big or small, we'll support you with them all. TDC Financial Services. We are strong. TDC Financial Services. This is where you belong.
TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded, and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 100 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
We are back here on Voices here on Win FM, and we're taking a look at what exactly is going on in the world. We heard from Abdia Samuel there, and as you all know, and it's in the headline news, we had 2 homicides over the weekend. Yes, 2 additional homicides. That continue to be the talking point. How best can we resolve conflicts here in St. Kitts and Nevis, right? It's sad that we have to, keep reiterating these issues that keep popping up, and the one that continues to grab our attention is the homicides, because we're not necessarily hearing public outcries. And for some reason, we know why we're not hearing public outcries. But the concern for me is we keep, regardless of if it's someone popular, if it's not someone popular, we continue to shy away and speak up and speak out against the violence that we see happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis. 1 homicide, 1 robbery is one too many. We live in a society whereby everybody knows everybody. So even if someone gets shot in Connery Village, it impacts someone who lives in Old Road. It's a small society. There's a society that regardless of what happens, we make international news for all the wrong reasons, right? And we're not hearing the public outcries that we need, so that we need to hear to condemn what is continuing to happen. A lot of people only speak out when it impacts them or someone that they know. But at the end of the day, it's again, I'll reiterate this, it's a small society that we live in. So I'll read this. The press release that came out from the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force just about yesterday. The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force is conducting an active investigation into a fatal shooting incident that occurred in Connery Village on the evening of July 20th. At approximately 9:39 p.m., the police received a report of a shooting incident at Connery Village. Officers responded swiftly to the scene. Upon arrival, they observed a black motorcycle on the left side of the road. Investigations revealed that Akeem Archibald, 29, of Shadwell Estate and resident of Connery Village, had been attacked by an unknown assailant or assailants while riding his motorcycle northwest on a road near his residence. The gunman fired multiple shots, striking Archibald several times. He was subsequently transported to the Joseph N. Franz General Hospital via ambulance, where he received medical treatment, but unfortunately was pronounced dead at approximately 11:19 p.m. Yes, so that was the latest homicide that occurred on Saturday evening, and that was 24 hours after another one occurred in Nevis Street. On Friday, the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force is conducting an active investigation into a homicide that occurred on the evening of July 19th on Nevis Street at approximately 8:30 p.m. Upon arrival at the scene, the officers discovered the lifeless body of 25-year-old LeSean Henry, a resident of Nevis Street, with multiple gunshot wounds. Preliminary investigations indicate that Henry was riding his bicycle north along Nevis Street when he was ambushed by an unknown assailant or assailants who opened fire, striking him multiple times. Henry was pronounced dead at the scene by the district medical officer. The scene was processed by the crime scene unit, who recovered items of evidential value. The police are seeking the assistance of the public in their investigations and urge anyone with information to contact the nearest police station. Yes. So, and then we saw yesterday as well from the police that the Prime Minister held discussions with the national security apparatus to craft plans and policies to combat the rising violence that is plaguing St. Kitts and Nevis at this point in time. And what we mean, it's not just homicides that we're seeing, but we're also seeing a number of business establishments being robbed, or a number of gunplay going on the streets of St. Kitts and Nevis. So how do we tackle these issues? That has long been the problem that both St. Kitts and Nevis and territories across the Caribbean region has seen the issue of. You know, we talk about the common denominator in all of these incidents is that of guns. The guns. That's the common denominator. How are they getting into the Federation has been the problem that, again, we have not been able to put a lid on currently. And we can go and talk about all the statistics that we've seen over the years, all the statistics in terms of the bullets, the guns, and so forth. But how do we tackle this problem has long been the issue that we've not necessarily put our hands on. And it is really, really becoming disheartening that we're still discussing this on the 22nd of July 2024, that we're still talking about the level of gun violence plaguing our streets here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Again, St. Kitts and Nevis is a tourist destination, and because we're a tourist destination, it will continue to create a bad image for us here in the Federation, because we, the media, we're not brushing stories aside. When the police publish their information, our colleagues across the world will come to St. Kitts and Nevis to look for that information to publish. And I don't know if it's not resonating with the individuals who are perpetrating the criminal acts, but whatever action, or as they say, every action has equal reaction, that is one of the major issues impacting us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Yeah, sorry about that. So how do we deal with this particular issue has long been the biggest challenge that we're not getting a grip of. So that's what we're discussing today on Voices. I am Jermine Abel sitting in today. You can call in and share your thoughts on anything that is of concern to you. But those are the two of the latest issues that we have that we're dealing with here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We're in the hurricane season, it's almost the peak of the Atlantic hurricane season. The waters are extremely warm. Yes, the waters are extremely warm, and we have La Nina. I think that's what that's the right one. That they're saying, it's that time of the year where it's going to be very, very active, and all the wind shear and the technical language that goes into predicting the Atlantic hurricane season. They are raising concerns about that because it is going to affect us no matter how we run from it. If it is August or September, they're expecting an above active hurricane season. We go to the phone line to hear from this caller. Caller, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
To you. Good morning to you. Greetings in Jesus' name to you and to all your listeners. Yes, I would like to say that as you were talking about the crime, I would just like to say, as I've always been saying, unless we do things the Bible way, we're going to always having all these evils upon us, plaguing us, and getting worse and worse to our destruction and ruin. Yes, I know we don't like to hear it, but there is no other answer, and there is no other solution for all of our evils, problems, and so on that can be found anywhere else but in the Bible only. And this thing about guns, God has not given any government the authority and permission to disarm anybody.
Okay,
so therefore,
okay, caller. I know we had this discussion before, but I don't generally agree with that notion because he didn't give anybody the okay to disarm, nor has he given anyone the okay to arm themselves, right?
Well,
let's be frank with that.
He have given his disciples to go and buy swords for their protection.
Yes, but let's be frank here, right? Let's face reality, right? Let's be pragmatic. If you have a problem, how do you plan to deal with the problem?
You first go to the Bible and see what it says in how to deal with it and how not to deal with it. And where the issues are concerned, the Bible says do not go beyond what is written in it. And if the government has no authority from God to do something, it ought not to do it. And the Bible also tells you if you go beyond what is written, in other words, if you disobey his word, all you're going to bring on you is curses and judgment from God.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah, no,
so how we deal with our problem, you go to the Bible.
Yes, but as well. So I understand you're saying, you're talking of it from a religious perspective. And I respect that, right? We're having an open discussion. But at the same time, you have to be smart, right? If something is not written, but it is, and if it's not clearly spelled out, but it is a problem, you have to find solutions and ways and means of dealing with the problem, right? Because God also said, don't be foolish. So
he also said, lean not on your own understanding.
Yes, but even if...
So, he didn't tell us to be smart. He tells us to think biblically, which is wisdom.
Yes, we understand all of that. But what I'm saying is...
I don't think we understand it now. We don't understand it now. We do not understand. Our actions, our lives preach that we do not understand. Not only we don't understand, but we disagree with it.
But that's life. Everybody don't agree with everything. Let's be frank. That's why
we disagree with what the Bible says. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I understand that. But what I'm saying is we disagree. We all disagree. You are a man of the Christian denomination, but you have others who are Muslims, who believe in Judaism, who are Hindus. So we all disagree to agree. We all agree to disagree. But what I'm saying is not everybody will agree with that. But at the same time, you have to rationalize situations whereby I don't agree with what the Prime Minister says. I don't agree with what the opposition leader say. I don't agree with what this government said, right? You have to sit down and rationalize. And if the situation calls for you to say, hey, this is what it is. You call a spade, which is we have a gun problem in St. Kitts and Nevis. If we have a gun problem in St. Kitts and Nevis, let's find the root cause of the problem. If
we do not have a gun problem. The problem is not the guns.
What's the problem?
The problem is the heart of men, not the guns. And you never see in the Bible where God ever placed any blame on the weapon used to do evil.
And
He always placed it on the heart of men.
But equally, the common denomination in all of what we're seeing here, regardless of whatever it is that the guns, if you don't have guns, if you deal with the inflow of the illegal firearms and weapons into St. Kitts and Nevis, then you're dealing with part of the problem. If you have people who are unemployed, then you'd find gainful employment for them. If you realize that the problem is the heart of men, then you go to find the root cause of what is affecting the heart of men.
Which is disobedience to the Bible, not fearing Jesus Christ. That is the root cause of the evilness in the heart of men, not fearing what the Bible says, not obeying the Bible, not submitting to the Bible. That is the root of the heart problem in men, disobedience to the Word of God. Not psychology, psychiatry or whatever. Those are not the root problem. The root problem is disobedience of the Word of God, rejecting the Word of God. Now, let me ask you a question. If you are sick and you are taking a medicine, and the more you take it, the worse the sickness gets, ain't you going to change the medicine to something else? I would think most people would do that, because they will get the idea, hey, this medicine is what really causing the sickness and worse than it. Because the more I take it, the worse it gets. Well, likewise, over the years, we have been coming down on guns. We have basically, in all practical sense, eliminated execution for murders, those sort of stuff. And instead, things get better because, we have to do something. So, in doing this thing, instead, things get better. Things over the years has been getting worse and worse the more we do these things.
Hold on. Just quickly, because I have to take a break, right? You can respond to this, but I'll give you 30 seconds when I finish. But if you're saying, right, that we've been trying to find solutions to the gun problem here in St. Kitts and Nevis, but we recognize that we have not found the solutions, but the problem that we have is that they're still coming into the Federation through our porous borders, then it simply means that we have to go out and find a solution to the problem, because we're only putting a plaster on the sore by not having, and which everyone has accepted, that it's difficult for us to man the water borders that we have here in St. Kitts and Nevis, which they believe is one of the issues that's allowed the inflow of weapons, right? And then the next problem that we found, and the DPP did acknowledge this, and he did raise some concern about it as an issue that has to be investigated or looked into, which is that of the 3D weapons, right? So at the end of the day, for me, the problem is, and the bottom line is, what we found happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis is that guns are the leading cause of death outside of NCDs in St. Kitts and Nevis, right? How do we deal with that? And that for me is the bottom line. And you're saying that, from a religious perspective, we have to trust the Bible. But even if we trust the Bible, the issue still remains.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that if you find that disobeying, rejecting the Bible, doing things that is contrary to the Bible, is in wake of that, things are getting worse and worse. But doesn't it hit you that the solution is to obey the Bible? Like I say, if you're taking a medicine for a sickness, and the more you take it, the worse the sickness gets, and will it not occur to you that you have to finish with the sickness and try another medicine? Likewise, over the years, we're doing things contrary to the Bible, and things just getting worse and worse. Why has it not occurred to us that, hey, the solution is obeying the Bible, as Einstein once said, doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result, expecting a different result, is madness. And that is what we are doing.
Okay.
We are continually going contrary to the Bible. Things are continually getting worse. And yet we think the solution is doing the same disobedience to the Bible rather than obeying the Bible, which is the only other alternative.
But Carla, I have a different perspective on that. But I have to take a break now because we have to break for the midday news in a bit, and I have to squeeze in one more break before I go.
Okay.
So you can call back after the headline news. Because, like I said, it's an open forum. You can discuss, you can share your thoughts and opinions. So you can definitely call back. So yes, we are taking a look at the hurricane season as well as the recent problem. It wasn't so recent, but the problem that has been impacting us here in St. Kitts and Nevis, which is that of crime and violence. We had 2 homicides over the weekend. But I have to take a break now, acknowledge the people who make the program possible, at least the first half, Rams, TDC, and Flo. And then we'll come right back and continue with more voices here on WIN FM.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WIN FM.
Magnum, my brand. Everybody put your Magnum in the air now. From you a drink Magnum, make me see. Take charge of things now your place now. From the river to the beach to the street. Hot Magnum when me have in a me hand there. Here a sipper, she tell me sweet. Look for me watch for your quick time check. Yeah. Right now a Magnum a for your beat. Enjoy yourself every day of the week with a Magnum. My life I forget sweeter. Must be 18 years and older to drink. Drink responsibly.
Insurance Company Limited. We care about your investment. Guarantee you peace of mind. The best team in the business. Guarantee you peace of mind. No other company will guarantee you peace of mind. Together we'll succeed and guarantee you peace of mind. TDC Insurance Company Limited, where you get more coverage for less.
Different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WIN FM.
And we are back here on Voices on Win FM. The news is going to be a little delayed, probably about 5 minutes or so. So we will continue with the discussions here on Voices. We're talking about the crime problem impacting St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as the issue of preparations for the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. How prepared are we? We heard a bit from the National Disaster Response Coordinator, Abdiel Samuel, talking a bit about how he has seen preparation so far as the government and disaster response officials, key stakeholders. They recently held discussions and simulation to see how prepared St. Kitts and Nevis really is when it comes to the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season, right? This comes against the backdrop of the fact that we saw a major Category 4 storm impacting us here in St. Kitts and Nevis, which was, let's be frank, a surprise to many, and even us here in St. Kitts and Nevis, that we saw such a powerful Category 4 storm at this point in the hurricane season. You know, you're expecting this to come maybe in August or September, October, because that's the peak of the season, right? So yeah. So that's very concerning for us. Regional leaders are actually going to be meeting on the 28th to the 30th in Grenada. And as you will hear in the news, climate change is actually one of the talking points that the Prime Minister and others will be raising during that meeting, and they'll be discussing, you know, the potential for the loss and damage fund, which has always been something that regional leaders have been championing, including Gaston Brown, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, as well as Mayor Motti, the Prime Minister of Barbados. They have all been championing that, you know, because we in the Caribbean are the ones on the front lines of climate change and the impacts, and we are vulnerable not just to hurricanes, stronger hurricanes, but eroding beaches. Potentially, you might not find some islands in the next 20, 30, 40 years. You know, small island developing states like us here in St. Kitts and Nevis are really vulnerable. So it's against that backdrop that we are really, really, really impacted by climate change. And I don't really think the developed countries, and this is just my opinion, I don't really think they pay much attention to these issues. You know, for the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years or so, we've been hearing and discussing and talking about a loss and damage fund. But we have not seen anything being really forthcoming. And, you know, Hurricane Beryl underscored the need for that loss and damage fund, because as the Prime Minister said recently, and you heard it here and in news reports, that based on the devastation that he saw in Grenada, it was really heart-wrenching to see a lot of people still with tarpaulins. Some don't have roofs. You know, the issue of food is another one that they're really in need of down there in Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines in terms of their dependent, smaller dependent islands. So it's really disheartening. So these are the sort of discussions that we need to begin to have. And for some of us, we think that these are not issues that we should really pay attention to. And one of the things I've learned in doing this line of work for so many years is that we as the general public and those who are listening should really take stock of issues. They may seem far and wide. They may seemingly appear technical. They may seemingly, things seemingly be issues that we should not necessarily be looking at or paying much attention to, or feel it in our hearts that it's something that is not bothering us, but it's something that we have to take stock of. And I like to reference what happened during COVID. when we started to talk about this disease and started to report on this disease when it first occurred, it was just another sickness that was being transmitted. But we're still talking about it, and that was late 2019, early 2020, and this is 2024. The U.S. president is currently ill with COVID. So this underscores the need for us to really pay close attention to issues and have a better understanding of how things will impact us, not just as a country, but it will influence and impact our pockets here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Yes, here in St. Kitts and Nevis, because even the fisherman on the sea, he may say, well, why do I have to pay attention to climate change? Or why do I have to, pay attention to the U.S. elections? Or why do I have to? The why is anything that happens internationally. St. Kitts and Nevis is not an island nation by itself. St. Kitts and Nevis is just a small territory that has influence, but not as much influence as the developed nations, and that is why we have to be critical about how we go about thinking about issues impacting us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Well, at this point in time, I will break now for the midday news, and then we'll come right back and continue with more voices here on WIN FM.
Found the sound 98.9 WIN FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured. Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Meeting held to discuss security concerns following double homicide weekend. Climate change to be discussed at heads of government meeting this weekend.
Samuel reflects on lessons learned from Hurricane Beryl.
The details and more straight ahead.
Following a weekend marked by a double homicide, St. Kitts and Nevis's national security apparatus, led by Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew, convened on Sunday to address the escalating gun violence plaguing the Federation. The incidents began on Friday night with the tragic killing of 25-year-old LaShawn Henry on Nevis Street. According to police reports, Henry was ambushed while riding his bicycle at approximately 8:30 p.m., succumbing to multiple gunshot wounds. Less than 24 hours later, Akeem Archibald, 29, was fatally shot multiple times in the Connery area around 8:39 p.m. Police responded to reports of the incident and found Archibald near his residence. Despite receiving immediate medical attention, he passed away at 11:20 p.m. In response to the recent surge in violence, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew and Glenroy Blanchett, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, held an emergency meeting with the High Command of the Police and the Defense Force at police headquarters. The objective was to devise a comprehensive strategy to combat this concerning trend. Dr. Drew emphasized, quote, "The protection of our citizens is paramount. We are committed to providing the necessary resources to our security forces to restore peace in our communities." During the meeting, the High Command presented a detailed analysis of the recent homicides, identifying potential causes and outlining both immediate and long-term measures. These included increased patrols, strategic deployments, enhanced intelligence operations, and community engagement initiatives. The Prime Minister reaffirmed the government's swift and resolute stance against gun violence, promising ongoing assessment and adjustment of the strategy to ensure its efficacy. The homicides bring the total number of such incidents in the Federation to 19 for the year, underscoring the urgency of the situation and the collective determination to address it effectively. As Hurricane Beryl continues to dominate discussions across the region, regional leaders are set to address the ongoing impact of climate change. CARICOM leaders will convene later this week in Grenada against the backdrop of the devastation caused by the powerful Category 4 storm in both the host territory and neighboring St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew, who will be attending the meeting, has spoken candidly about the issue following his visits to the affected areas. Dr. Drew said, quote, "I believe climate change will be a top priority alongside addressing the significant loss and damage," end quote. The affected territories are still assessing the hurricane's aftermath with ongoing efforts to provide relief. This major Category 4 storm is the first of its kind to impact the region so early in the season, prompting concerns as the region braces for the peak of the hurricane season. Grenada's Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell, speaking at a recent press conference, highlighted the resilience of the affected territories, affirming their determination to recover. Meanwhile, PM Drew urged developed nations to take more decisive action to combat the challenges faced by small island developing states. The CARICOM Heads of Government Conference is scheduled for July 28th to 30th in Grenada.
The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMO, is currently in the planning phase of preparedness for the peak of the Atlantic hurricane season. However, even as they embark on this preparation, valuable lessons are being drawn from Hurricane Beryl. Abdiel Samuel, National Disaster Response Coordinator, emphasized key lessons learned from the aftermath of the major Category 4 hurricane. He highlighted a significant takeaway from Beryl. No matter how much you are prepared, you have to do the essential things. Samuels emphasized the importance of information sharing, shelter preparedness, and coordination as critical factors.
We must be guided by the information provided by our scientists. 2, the critical thing that we need is leadership. If you don't have leadership, then you're going to have a disoriented response. It's going to add to the crisis. It's going to add to the crisis. 3, preparation is key. Preparation is key. The essentials. Persons can be displaced and will be displaced. you have to make sure you have the basic essentials for persons, which are housing. You must have that shelter. Persons need somewhere to go. 2, medication. We know what our societies suffer from. That data is there through the Ministry of Health. We have to have that medication. 4, health. 4, food. We have to have food for our people. And we have to make sure that we people share that responsibility between the state and themselves.
Forecasters from the National Hurricane Center and Colorado State University predicted an above-normal 2024 season with over 20 named storms expected, including hurricanes. As a result, Samuel and his team are taking these lessons seriously. He called on the media to support NEMA by disseminating critical information in the times of need. Looking ahead, Samuel urged individuals and communities to prepare basic emergency plans. The 2024 Atlantic hurricane season runs from June 1 to November 30th.
Regionally,
for 2024's Carnival celebrations, the St. Lucia Tourism Authority enlisted the aid of numerous regional and international media outlets, as well as a variety of featured influencers who partnered with the organization in order to document and display their authentic Helen of the West experience. These internet personalities and celebs include figures such as Chloe Bailey, Natalie Emmanuel from Game of Thrones, and Cora Obidi, who remains very vocal regarding her love for the island. With this tactic, alongside the dedicated stakeholders instrumental in creating a lively and festive carnival season, Jermine George's public relations manager voiced the overall gratification felt by the St. Lucia Tourism Authority regarding their accomplishment.
You would have noted on the road for St. Lucia Carnival. She is an actress who would have played her role in the Game of Thrones as well as Fast and Furious. We also had Cora Obidi, who is a musician, singer, dancer, content creator, and she seemed to have really broke the internet. We also had Jessie Wu, who is an actress, musician, content creator, and also personality on Love Hip Hop. And we also had Patrice Roberts. And these partnerships is one that we really worked with the accommodation providers and the tour operators to ensure that it was successful. Some of them are out today enjoying the destination and creating more spotlight on St. Lucia.
The public relations manager underscored the type of criteria utilized by the St. Lucia Tourism Authority when selecting these individuals.
When we're working with the influencers, we look for those who have that carnival following, or those who want to experience a carnival product but also has a large following, so that they could help to shed spotlight on the product. So for example, Cora Obidi, this would have been her very second carnival. Her first would have been Atlanta Carnival this year, and when they reached out, we said why not, because Cora has millions of followers on social media. She's very popular, and just with us sharing the influencers yesterday alone, one of our pages grew by 2.4K followers in under 2 hours. So that's just to show the impact and the ROI that we can experience from hosting the influencers.
Jermine Georges emphasized that this collaboration serves as a mutual benefit for all parties involved, as many groups within the tourism sector as well as the influencers variety.
When we partner with the influencers to bring them in, we also collaborate with our carnival bands to provide the costumes. We also collaborate with our hotel partners for accommodation and our tour operators, because they do get the spotlight as well. There are deliverables, so each influencer will have deliverables of what they're supposed to give to the St. Lucia Tourism Authority or the destination overall as part of that exchange partnership. And just to clear it up, no influencer or celebrity is paid to come to St. Lucia. It is a collaboration.
The St. Lucia Tourism Authority will continue to utilize this form of exposure for many major events and festivities, as the island is allowed to reach a greater audience and garner never-before-seen attention on an online scale. For Choice News Now, this is Obi Offer reporting.
With 392 confirmed dengue cases and 3 deaths recorded so far, calls for spraying in affected areas have intensified. But the authorities assured that it's being done along with grass cutting and cleaning.
In-house, we have literally done
thousands of homes in spraying and management.
Health Minister Terence Singh doubled down on what is considered the best solution to avoid the spread of dengue: source reduction. This time, the minister got the advice of other medical professionals who operate in the most infected counties.
These are public officers attached to Penal DB, Superior Borough, and Princestown Regional Corporation. In that meeting this morning, they expressly supported the ministry's perspective.
Public health inspectors have already issued 71 tickets and can fine up to $3,500 for breeding sites. But Minister of Rural Development and Local Government Faris Alwari said this is avoidable once people take personal responsibility and be their neighbor's keeper.
Remember, there are going to be circumstances where people can't help themselves. An elderly neighbor, somebody that doesn't have the ability to do that.
Because similar to public health regulations, Alwari said governments can use the law to ensure they remain in control of the situation. But according to the Chief Medical Officer, TNT is not there yet.
Dengue doesn't tick any of the boxes, any of the 4 boxes for PHEIC. However, we look back at COVID ticked all 4. And therefore, we had to go to that level.
Epidemiologist Dr. Avery Hines said they noticed that young people have been contracting dengue.
Maybe about half of the confirmed cases have been in the younger age group, from about maybe 5 to 19.
They were speaking to the media shortly after a meeting to discuss a coordinated response to the outbreak. Carissa Lee, CNC3 News.
Internationally,
Vice President Kamala Harris hit the ground running with the launch of her 2024 presidential campaign on Sunday. Campaign officials and allies made hundreds of calls on her behalf soon after President Joe Biden said he was pulling out of the race. They urged delegates to nominate her for president at next month's Democratic Party convention, and Harris pledged to unite the nation in her bid against Republican nominee Donald Trump. Biden said he would remain in the presidency until his term ends in January next year, while endorsing Harris to run for president in his place. It leaves his replacement with less than 4 months to wage a campaign before the November election. By late Sunday, Harris had already locked in the support of all the Democrat state party chairs, according to several on a conference call. Her prospects in November are less clear. Shortly after Biden's announcement, Trump told CNN, quote, "Harris will be easier to beat than Joe Biden would have been." However, polling immediately after last week's assassination attempt against Trump showed that Harris performs no better or worse statistically than Biden had done against the GOP nominee. Still, senior fellow at the Brookings Institute Darrell M. West thinks the shakeup will help the Democrats catch up in key swing states.
The polls have actually been moving in favor of Donald Trump over the last few weeks. I think her likely nomination will put Democrats in a strong position. She'll be very competitive in those crucial Midwestern states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And I think she also will put some of those other swing states that have started to slip away, places like Arizona, back in very strong contention for Democrats.
Several prominent Democrats, including potential Harris challengers such as California Governor Gavin Newsom, immediately backed the vice president. A handful of the party's biggest names, including former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and former President Barack Obama, both praised Biden's decision but did not announce endorsements. 2 other potential challengers, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, made no mention of the vice president in their statements. Harris is due to speak from the White House South Lawn Monday morning.
A new UNAIDS data report reveals that 30.7 million people living with HIV are now on treatment. The public health achievement has also seen AIDS-related deaths halved since 2010 to reach 630,000 in 2023. However, challenges persist. At this sexual health center for the youth in Bangui, Central African Republic, women and men discuss ways to prevent the transmission of the disease. As an educator, Niwale answers questions and distributes medication. I'm an orphan. I was the only one out of 3 siblings to take treatment every day. And I took it unceasingly.
20 ans, je suis infectée par le VIH. J'ai été la seule personne qui doit pouvoir prendre les traitements tout le temps.
26 years old. I was the only one out of 3 siblings to take treatment every day.
que je suis infectée.
26 And I took it unceasingly. I've been living with the HIV virus since I was born. More than once I tried to put an end to my life and commit suicide. Approximately half of the people who were infected with HIV last year were living in Eastern and Southern Africa and Western and Central Africa.
Gender inequality and gender-based violence have left women in Central African Republic more vulnerable to HIV. Statistics show that among people aged 20 to 24 years old, for every one male infection, there are more than 2 female infections.
Last year, around 120,000 aged 0 to 14 became infected with HIV.
That was the Win FM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, and Cariboury.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness. It's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king. Please drink responsibly.
Hello, I'm Roisin Hastie with the BBC News. Leading Democrat governors from across the United States have added their support for Vice President Kamala Harris on the first full day of her campaign to become her party's presidential nominee. They join President Biden, who endorsed her shortly after pulling out of the election process. But as our correspondent Ione Wells explains, Ms. Harris still needs to go through an official nomination by the Democratic Party.
There is still questions about what the process might be. Previously, there was lots of discussion about holding what's known as a virtual roll call, essentially a virtual vote for the Democratic Party in the first week of August to get that all done and dusted before their convention in Chicago towards the end of August. If that still goes ahead, and if there is a majority for Kamala Harris, it could be that that is one way to approve her. If there is not a majority in a virtual vote, or if they decide not to have one, that's when we get to the potentially slightly more complicated situation of an open convention, essentially a convention where delegates are free to vote for whoever they would like.
The director of the US Secret Service, Kimberly Cheesel, has said the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump 9 days ago at an election rally in Pennsylvania was the most significant operational failure of the Secret Service in decades. She was addressing the US Congress.
The Secret Service's solemn mission is to protect our nation's leaders. On July 13th, we failed. As a director of the United States Secret Service, I take full responsibility for any security lapse of our agency. We are fully cooperating with ongoing investigations. We must learn what happened, and I will move heaven and earth to ensure that an incident like July 13th does not happen again.
The chairman of House Oversight Committee, James Comer, said there had been a serious security failure and, in his view, Ms. Cheesel should resign. A court in Russia has sentenced a Russian-American journalist to 6.5 years in jail after convicting her of spreading falsehoods about the military. Alsu Kormasheva reports for the American government-funded organisation Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. She denies wrongdoing. A gunman has attacked a nursing home east of the Croatian capital Zagreb, killing at least 6 people. Several other people were injured in the attack. Guy Delorney has more details.
Croatian police say they received the first report of the shooting shortly after 10 in the morning. On arrival at the residential care home in the spa town of Darvar, they found that 5 people had been shot and killed. The suspected gunman had already left the scene, but police quickly found and arrested him. The authorities say the man was a former military police officer whose mother was a resident at the care home. The suspect had previously faced police investigations for domestic violence and being drunk in public. You're listening to the latest world news from the BBC.
A new report by UNAIDS says the global response to HIV is moving at 2 speeds, with sub-Saharan Africa leading the fight against the virus while the rest of the world falls behind. HIV infections in sub-Saharan Africa have dropped by more than half since 2010. The UNAIDS chief says criminalisation of sex work and stigma attached to LGBT people are helping push up rates in Europe and Central Asia. The Israeli army says it's confirmed after obtaining new intelligence that 2 more hostages held by Hamas in Gaza have died. The military says it's still investigating the deaths of Yagev Buchstab, a 35-year-old sound technician, and Alex Danstig, a historian who is 76. A spokesman for the Israeli government gave more details at a media briefing.
Their bodies are still being held by Hamas. I can tell you that the decision to determine their deaths was based on intelligence. It was approved by an expert committee of the Ministry of Health in cooperation with the Ministry of Religious Services and the Israel Police. This will come as a crushing blow to their families.
The Hostage Families Forum in Israel said their deaths in captivity were a tragic reflection of the consequences of foot-dragging in ceasefire negotiations between Israel and Hamas. Somali officials say more than 100 al-Shabaab militants were killed while mounting 3 separate attacks in the Lower Juba region. The regional information minister told the BBC that the insurgents were ambushed by security forces when they attempted to overrun 3 military bases on the outskirts of the southern post of Kismayu. Police in Greenland have arrested a prominent anti-whaling environmentalist under an international warrant issued by Japan. Paul Watson's campaign group said his ship had docked in Greenland to refuel. The group said it was on its way to intercept a Japanese whaling factory vessel. BBC News.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, and Cariboury.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com. When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Delisle Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
WINN is 98.9.
98.9 is Win FM.
Welcome back to Voices here on Win FM. I am Jermine Abel sitting in today. Yes, I'm Jermine Abel sitting in today for your regular host, Socrates, or your regular co-host, Socrates and Jamster. You know, they're otherwise engaged. You know, it's Monday. We all have those Monday blues, but they're otherwise engaged today. So I'm just sitting in the hot seat. And for the first half of the program, we took a look at preparations for the Atlantic hurricane season, which is expected to pick up probably from next week onwards until we reach the peak of the hurricane season, because of, you know, all the science terms, as they would put it, from all of my Met friends, right? The high pressure system and so forth, and the La Nina and El Nino. So they normally break that down and give you a sense of what it is and what realistically is happening in the atmosphere. So yes, you know, we're preparing for the hurricane season. We heard from the National Disaster Response Coordinator, Abdiel Samuel. You heard it both in the news and on the first half of the program. We also took a look at what happened over the weekend. We had 2 homicides, you know, between Friday and Saturday nights. And that's sad that we have to report that we had 2 additional homicides. The Prime Minister did call for a meeting with the national security apparatus here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and they had discussions on the way forward and, I guess, craft policies that would better be able to combat what they describe as the rising upsurge in violence here in St. Kitts and Nevis, which is sad, but it's just what we have here in St. Kitts and Nevis that we have to be able to deal with. So you can call in, share your thoughts on those 2 topics that we were discussing, as well as anything that is of interest to you. Well, this half of the program is brought to you by SL Horsfords and Company Limited. So let us acknowledge them and we'll come right back.
Attention, savvy shoppers! It's that time of year again to upgrade your home and feed your family with Horsford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store. For over 25 years, we've been making dreams come true by offering cashback coupons for free groceries on all hire purchases. That's right, we've given away over $1 million worth of groceries to our loyal customers. And this year, it's your time to cash in on the savings. Whether you're in the market for a new sofa, a sleek kitchen upgrade, or a cozy bedroom set, Horsford's and Ashley Furniture Home Store have everything you need to turn your house into a home. And when you make a higher purchase with us, you'll receive cashback coupons redeemable for free groceries. Yes, so why wait? Visit Horsford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store today and take advantage of this incredible offer. Upgrade your home, feed your family, and save big with cashback coupons for free groceries. Only at Horsford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store.
And as we come back, we go straight to the phone lines and hear from this caller. Caller, good afternoon. Well, we lost that caller. Hear from this one. Caller, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Abel.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Few and far between, but we welcome your voice every time as a co-host of the program from time to time. I did not listen much. I vaguely listened to the morning session, but you just mentioned what the topics were for discussion. And I wish to weigh in on both topics.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I had a conversation on the radio program considering the phenomenon that we look forward to annually from June the 1st to November the 30th or thereabouts. And we will have to recalibrate that because it seems like the hurricanes, the intensity of hurricanes and tropical storms, they are coming earlier and they're going way beyond. I heard a mention there on a radio program, on a press conference about a hurricane that came in December, many moons ago, in the 1920s, I was told. So here is it. We are seeing that the hurricanes are intensifying in terms of their strength and the duration of time, the earlier and the later, in terms of the time span from the June the 1st to November the 30th. So, and I listened to analysis. And I put out there and saying that, well, maybe there are conversations to really have a Category 6 and a Category 7 hurricane in terms of the Richter scale, the measuring system, because these hurricanes are more intense. And I want to say to Mrs. Simon Warner, who called in and loaned credence to my chain of thought, my argument, so to speak, that yes, it is in the minds of the powers that be, the experts. They do know that the hurricanes are, intensifying in terms of their strength, and they are thinking about adding other categories to the Category 5 because some hurricane strength has exceeded the Category 5 hurricane strength. Have exceeded that. What are your takes on that? Before you answer, though, let me go into the other topic at hand. The homicide rates that continue to plague the nation. And I'm not seeing any quick fix. It's not a quick fix. Government is continuous. Administration might change, but government continuous. Some leader that is at the helm at the moment in time will have to be responsible. I don't want to say take the response. Otherwise, I want to use the word be responsible because there are our leaders and they are in leadership position and they ought to be responsible. But given the comparative analysis in terms of how can we improve? I know in the business sector, businesses go into business for profit. At the annual end of the calendar year, they want to say, well, we have made profit 2%, 3% comparing to last year and so forth in terms of their monetary gain. Likewise, in government have to try to be there to appease the people's wishes. If you're going to tell me that you're going to go there and this is the situation now, and if you put me there, the situation is going to be much better, be assured that you have a plan, a 10-point plan, a 12-point plan, so you could start to put measures in place. Because if it's in the comparative analysis of then and now, let's say we have to compare the homicide rate. it has spiraled out of control. It has. And we're not, citizens, ordinary law-abiding citizens, we're not raising funds to import the guns and putting it into the youth behind the would-be youth and say, go and create chaos in the place because, this is what is the status quo, so to speak. We're not saying that. But somehow, some way, the guns are coming in here, and they're here. It's bad enough that the guns are coming here. How could the guns be here and the youth say, hey, I'm not going there. I'm not handling it. Because sometimes the gun here, and you'll hear a homicide which was committed by a knife or a sharp object, a machete. So we got to get into the minds of the people. Get into the minds of the people. Test the waters. What is the atmosphere? What is the atmosphere? What is the feel?
But
what is the environment that we're living in?
Carla, how do we do that? Because I think and that's a very valid point that you raised, but that's a question that continues to pop up in the sense that, and the first caller in the first half of the program mentioned that as well. The issue with crime is in the hearts of man. But at the same time, the issue that we have is that we're not getting to that root cause of the problem, as the caller said, to the heart of man, to the minds of the young people. How do we actually do that?
Okay, within the argument of the various political parties, it is either they're going on the rostrum, the podium, at the political meetings, and they're saying things without a vision, without a 10-point plan, so that when they get there, their feet are wet, so to speak, and then they go into action. It is either that or I don't know what else, because if you are saying that this is the situation now and you want to make improvement on it, you must have a plan when you go there to start to implement that plan to get better results. Not in the reverse way. Because right now where the homicide rate is, it is almost twice the farmer administration rate, which the farmer administration rate had the tendency, and at times it probably fluctuated, where sometimes it thinks that things calm, there's a calm moment, and then things escalate, and then a calm moment, and it escalates. Similar now. But the numbers can attest to it. The numbers is what counts. One body, one homicide, one life, one, regardless, irrespective of the age of the group, of the individuals. It's one too less, one too many. Sorry. You understand? So you're asking me how? There are persons who went to study and have that doctorate in these areas. I am lending my initiative for free. I didn't go nowhere. I learned it from the streets. I could have succumbed to some of those unfortunate victims. Growing up in Newtown, and I make no bones about it. Wanting to give back, realizing that I have come of age, and I could have gotten snuffed out younger, because I've seen so many of it. So when I speak on that merit, that if the experts can do it, it's either the expert has gone there, gotten their expertise, and they're only thinking on monetary gains from giving back something to the society that rear them, grow them.
On that note, right, Carla, I want to ask you, because I'm a person that likes to find solutions, go beyond the headlines. As you mentioned that we have the expertise, and a lot of people over the years have started this initiative in terms of tackling the problem, right? Because that's what we're trying to do, tackle the problem. But to some degree, we had some level of success, quote unquote, and I'm using that word guardedly. But do you believe that two things come to mind for me? One, that we have to do more community outreach. And when I mean community outreach, not just go into the communities, but do more groundwork, have more policies to have the young people more actively involved in social activities. One, and two, also have parents involved, because if Mr. Abel is young, again, and he is not, I don't want to use the word uneducated, but he is not to that extent where he can inculcate certain disciplines and measures into his children, that eventually the kids will only see a path that is paved even before they start to walk that path. So you believe that we have to have more of these community outreach measures where we tackle the young people, and I don't mean just children, but young people within the community, have them more engaged and also engage with parents. Because for me, those are the two areas that I'm seeing that needs to be tackled immediately.
Point taken with those two fabrics of our society, the parenting and the social fabric of outreach in the communal areas. Point taken. An example, we just experienced, and I have been driving around a family, because one of the daughter came on here for that program, that soccer football program, exposing our youth to the sport and getting that. And I say, Michael, the success of our first international cricketer on like the West Indies. So it's always
West
a
Indies
grooming
men team,
process
just to
in
be
anything
correct.
you do. It's not just restricted to the sporting aspect of it. It is a discipline of the mind, inculcating and harnessing and trying to get the best results from the minds of our youth, developing their minds in all genre of our spheres, so that the deviant aspect of it will be minimized, it will be less, and when the temptation comes to go that path, it will be discouraged by positivity, by the positive examples that are in here. Let us do a data aspect of it. We should be able to say, all right, it had 400, let's say, 400, 300 children was exposed to the soccer tournament, the soccer expo, right? How many of them we will want to see? We will want to see all of them advance. But that's not the reality. Do we set a target as to how many of the youths we want to see in the next 2, 3, 4 years advance to the next level and go on and go beyond, so that in the next 5, 6 years we can see them on the international arena? This is the approach that we have to take in all aspects of what we're doing. And don't tell me that the experts don't know that. I cannot relate that to the airways, to the media, whatever outreach they're gonna do. They have to be able to relay that with a disciplinary measure, that you're reaching the youth because you're going into their minds, you're going into them, you're letting them know that your future, your future is hinged on this. Telling them things like, you're gonna be there on television in 5 years. Now, if none buts about it, you're letting them know that I'm going to be looking at the television and seeing you in 5, 6 years' time. That is the confidence that we have to instill in our children.
But do you believe? But Carla,
including what we're talking about now.
But Carla, let me interject quickly. Do you believe that fathers have an important role to play? I mean, mothers play father figures as well, but fathers in terms of the discipline of getting children to that point, because it's one thing for you to say have the kids involved, but if there's no role model within the house or any male figure to lead them and take them to the sporting discipline or whatever it is, then you're throwing water and duck back, as we say colloquially.
Mr. Abel, we are hinged. Our society is hinged on a male chauvinistic patriarchal system. So you're asking me about fathers when everything seems like it was the male. The fathers are pivotal to this. It's lauding to see the mothers that are there, because the mothers are being sidelined in everything we do. Everything we do is the mothers have played second fiddle. in this Christian society, you're talking about Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And what you're looking at three male figures. I beg to differ on that yet. Somehow the mother is somewhere between you. So it would be a father, a son, and a child. A mother, a father, and a child, rather. So you're asking about the father figure role? The fathers are pivotal because in this society, this is how we push about the fathers. So the fathers are missing in action. The society is failing our people big time. Because what? At the end of it, is more males getting killed than anybody else, than the females. Huh?
Correct.
Check out all the mothers who are crying and have the trauma over their sons that they have to be burying, taking loans to bury their sons, when it should be the reverse way around, where children bury their parents. So the system is failing us big time. And the experts, they know that. Probably that's why they are so reluctant to speak or to present it. Because they know that they're facing an uphill battle in terms of their expertise and getting into the minds of the children. Because the children are seeing something totally different comparing to what the expert might tell them. And so they're not getting the message. The message is not reaching where the message is supposed to reach. Anyway, Mr. Abel, thanks for the conversation. Thanks for the interaction.
All right, thanks, caller. Yes, so that was our caller there. I just want to respond to the question that he asked me about whether or not I believe there should be a Category 6. And this is just my opinion. Looking at the state of climate change and its impact and the strength of the storms, I suspect that it may, because it will eventually eclipse the Category 5 status going forward. Additionally, I just wanted to correct something that the caller said, and I suspect he said it out of... it was an accident that he said it. The hurricanes are not necessarily measured on the Richter scale. It is measured on the SIFRI... let me get the correct name for you. The Richter scale is what actually measures hurricane, is what actually measures earthquakes. So... yeah, the Safari or Sarif, I'll get a correct pronunciation of the name for you and a thing, but I just wanted to, get that updated. We go back to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. Okay, we missed that caller. And we go back to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. Caller?
Hi, good morning.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, sorry. In the event of any hurricane, one should always prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And preparation is the key, and timely preparation. So that is that for me. In terms of the violent crime that is happening at this moment, my thinking is that we should actually make sure that children are always in check of an adult. Having said that, children have a tendency to go to school, which they should be under the full control of the teachers. And when they are not with their parents, when they are with the parents, they should be under full control of their parents. And so the line of discipline will form a complete circle. And so that is something that one could grow with. There is no way you can bend an old tree. When a tree is bent, very difficult to bend, you have to break it. But when a child is young, a tree is young, you can bend it into whatever form you so desire. One of the tools that we have at our disposal that we are not using as much as I think that we can use is our policing. Policing is not so much more, was not designed so much to go after people and investigate after the event. They're designed to prevent and also execute a moment of division that will save court time and will save prison time and bring people in society in a better formation. Sometimes police don't think that and understand that their presence counts more than the action. The uniform only have to be there. And it puts somebody in a position to think not only twice, but 3 times. So there's a lot of spots around St. Kitts where you can drive now and meet a bunch of young men. So they get there every morning and they don't leave there until night. Those men are people that our officers should tackle, not in a ferocious way, not in a way to drive them away, but have a conversation and talk with them. Because there are people who are among them who are good teachers, who will encourage them to do the wrong thing. And they don't do anything, they just talk. They're good at talking, but they don't commit any act of crime. The act of crime is to talk people into committing crime. And so having said that, those things used to happen even when we were going to school. The people who talk the most never do anything. They only put you on to do something else. And when you get in trouble, they walk away from you as if they had never seen you before. So those are those people who are good at it. And the conversations sound good, but there's no value. So if our officers who have some time, if they don't have any court time, or they're not going to spend time at the station, they must know the community. Walk out in your community and talk to the people. Know them and get their trust so that they could talk to you anytime that you feel like. Not just coming when there's something happen. You must be there all the time. Don't do like the politicians, only come when they want to vote. After election done, you don't see them again. Policing is a long time. And carrying for very distant future. And the child that you save could be even one of yours. I think I've said enough.
Okay, I just want to ask you a couple of questions, Carla, because you touched on some valid points there. First up, you talk about parenting. One of the issues that I've found is the fact that, and some might argue this, right? I have a different opinion to this point, but some might argue that the parenting style that we saw back in those days, yesteryear, compared to now, is where the issue lies. Because what we've found is that a lot of young people are becoming parents, and not a lot of them are fully educated and capable of actually being parents, as the definition says. And then, because of that, it leads to a moral breakdown in society, right? And people may say, "Oh, you guys back in the days, y'all were different things in terms of how you think you used to abuse us in terms of your parenting, your disciplining style, and we have a different laid-back style now to how we approach parenting." Do you believe that that's part of the issue that we've been seeing over the years, not just 2024, but maybe like the last 15, 20 years, 30 years or so?
Those are parenting are key example of what to work with. But I will tell you this. I'll answer your question like this. The policeman, the lawyer, the robber, and the thief came from our same society. They came from our same society. They have entered the primary school and the high school and maybe college, just like everybody else. It's just that some are more academically inclined than some. And some went on to different professions. But at the same time, some take the education seriously and some did not. Some were trained to do and work out what is best for them, and some were guided along different paths. So at the same time, when you say one, you say two. You say these two boys grew up together, but they are so different, apart from each other, based on their values. But in spite of that, teachers are not giving up teaching. Doctors are not giving up being doctors. So why should our society give up on those who commit crime? Don't try to catch them. Try to prevent them. Use the position of prevention as the same aggression you use as catching. Because I could tell you right now, every policeman would like to put their hand on somebody who commit a crime, because as far as they're concerned, they don't want any crime to happen on their watch. So, if you don't want any crime to happen on your watch, you have to put the preparation and the work in place to prevent it from happening. What are the preventive measures? Speak to them. Make sure that they have a job and some place to work, something to do. If you can't make sure they get it, help them to get one. because the devil always find work for idle hand to do. Because there's so many people who are not working. They don't have a generated income. And everything look easy for them. Anything somebody said to them, and it become a negative, they get angry, and they react. So there are tools that we have to our disposal that we can use. We have better tools than firearm, than knife. We have words, we have thoughts, we have thinking, we have the way we treat each other with respect. And if you respect yourself, others may disrespect themselves to you, but you still hold it. You have a principle of standard. If you start making joke with somebody and you start in a good manner and the ground of connection is good, when things get out of hand, you could always go back to the principle of starting. Respect. That's where we started, so we can go back there. But after, if you start outside of that line, how can you go back to something that you never did start? And don't forget, lastly, people must be willing and ready to learn something every day. And we must encourage our young people to read. Read a book, read something on WhatsApp, but read something that makes sense. Use their own evaluation. Don't use the evaluation that the writer wrote. It's not everything somebody writes is true. Put your own thinking into it, and then you probably will come out with the answers. I think I've said enough.
Okay, I just want to get one quick question for you before I let you go. I want to touch on the hurricane preparedness. One of the things, and this was discussed among journalists recently, is preparation. And how do we actually get society, right? Let's rationalize. How do we actually get society to prepare? Because there's this culture, not only in St. Kitts, but we saw it in Jamaica as well, and to an extent in several other territories. We only react rather than be proactive in terms of, and this is society, not just the officials, because we're going to hear the media will begin to cover something that's coming off the coast of Africa when it just leaves, and within a week probably 50 stories are going to be put out on it. But then we are only going to see people being reactive when we hear, hey, the storm is going to impact X place, St. Kitts and Nevis, whatever it is, or wherever it is. But then is when people will start to go and stock up and prepare for this rather than being proactive and preparing now that we're in the season. How do we get people to better understand that? Because I keep hearing this thing, the storm passed, you made me waste $400 to stock up my house.
Well, you have the NEMA, which is a good system. It's good, but only if they use it right. What you have to do is move NEMA out of the building, move them out of the office. Yes, you could have a group of people in a community building, yes. But take, for instance, if you use OGs and Monkey Hill and Upper Kayan and Waterworks and Central, I know sometime it will be time consuming, but if you could have people in the community who are neighbors meet with each other and discuss a game plan of expectation of the worst scenario of hurricane. And what will be the intention of action knowing that a hurricane is coming? If they have an awareness, what can we put in place? What measures can we do to make sure that our property and family are suitably protected? Those are the kind of conversation and talk. Homeowners, mostly, because they have the most to lose. Homeowners and car owners, what mechanism? If we can find a mechanism to put in place to get neighbors to talk to each other. Because at the end of the day, they will talk because they perhaps going to be gone. So when nothing is there, we should talk to each other because we find ourselves in the same position. None of us is higher. None of us is less. Same boat. So if we could talk now to prepare for the worst scenario and hope for the best, then, but we must start talking to each other, making plans. We can't wait until government comes. Government must do what they have to do, but the people must do what they need to do too. So because politicians only want you when they get in power, they finish with you. Most of them. So some of them mean well, but others mean so much for themselves that they cannot find the time to help others. And you know, in every aspect of life, no clean dog can make a mangy dog clean. A mangy dog will always make a clean dog mangy. So, depends on who you associate with. No matter how much good intention you have, some of it is going to rub off on you. I think I've said enough for now.
All right.
I do hope you continue to have a great day.
Thanks, caller. Well, yes, we heard from that caller there on two topics that we are discussing here on Voices. I am Jermine Abel sitting in today, and we are discussing preparedness in the hurricane season, which is expected to reach its peak over the next 2 months, thereabout. And also, we're talking about the crime situation in St. Kitts and Nevis, which has become a cliche topic all around right now. So, at this point, we have to acknowledge our partner who made the second half of the program possible, and then we'll come right back to more Voices here on Win FM.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Hey there, summer lovers. Ready to make your summer unforgettable?
Oh, yeah.
Get down to Horsford's Building in Nevis Center, something summer special, where the heat is on with a sizzling 25% off select items. Fire up the fun with top-notch barbecue grills, perfect for those backyard cookouts. Dive into savings on swimming goggles, coolers, and inflatable and mini pools. Keep your drinks icy and your days splashy. Relax in style with our comfy summer chairs or float away on our luxurious floating waterbeds. And don't miss out on our premium gas grills for the ultimate grilling experience. All this and so much more. Head to Horsford's Building in Nevis Center, Something Summer Specials today, and catch these hot deals before they're gone. Something Summer Specials, your one-stop shop for summer fun. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
And we are back here on Voices here on WinFM 98.9. I am Jermine Abel sitting in today for your regular host or your regular co-host, Jamster and Socrates, who are otherwise engaged. I put it down to Monday Blues, but I don't know what the reason is, but they're unavailable today. So you're in my company for at least the next 15 minutes here on Voices. I just want to quickly note an apology for those people who are not really hearing WinFM in certain areas, and that's because there's a power situation at one of the feeders station, one of the outlet station, relay station, that's impacting the radio stations in St. Kitts and Nevis. Skellig did send out a press release over the weekend acknowledging that there's a slight situation that they're working on along with the radio stations to get sorted. So yes, so I just apologize for that because people have been meeting me on the road and asking me about it. So I'm just apologizing on behalf of those individuals. So we go back to the phone lines and hear from this caller. Caller, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Abel.
Good afternoon.
Greetings once more in Jesus' name. Now, as we were talking about hurricane preparedness, okay? What I must say is this. The less wealthy a society is, the less it can cushion the shocks of quote-unquote natural disasters, what I call natural disasters. The wealthier a society is, the more it can cushion the disaster and destruction of these physical forces, hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis, that sort of stuff. And also the more a society can protect themselves against such as well by building stronger buildings, that sort of stuff, because that society is wealthier and it has therefore more money to invest in making stronger buildings and when things do get destroyed, they have more money to rebuild stuff and to fix stuff. I said that to say all of this because we unscripturally have government doing things beyond its biblical duty, which is very, very small and very, very little and limited. But because we go beyond the Bible, which the Bible tells us not to do, in 1 Corinthians 4, verse 6, and we have government providing this, providing that, government regulating this, regulating that, government giving this, giving that, owning this, owning that, and so on and so on. Government now have to, in return, have high taxes on us and increasing them as time goes on. And because of that, and its regulations and society and so on, we as a society are made poorer, not wealthier. And because we are made poor by the high taxations and government regulations and that sort of stuff, and high government spending, because we are made poor, we do not have the wealth that we need to make the economy and our personal stuff to turn around quicker than we should be doing if we had the wealth to do such. Because we are being deprived by government high taxes, regulations, government high spending, and so on. And therefore, because we don't have the money to quickly fix our stuff, we build our stuff and make our stuff to be the strongest.
But Colin, hold on. One of the things that, and I just want to throw this out there because it was said by the Prime Minister, right? He did say that we as a society, and this is what he warned against, we cannot necessarily spend our way out of hurricanes in terms of preparedness. Well, basically that's me paraphrasing there. So even though I understand what you're saying, right? The concern is no matter how you build, no matter how much resources you throw behind preparing for a hurricane in terms of building codes and so forth, you will likely be impacted at some point, right? So there's no way that you can, quote unquote, and this is just me speaking, spend your way out of a hurricane or a natural disaster because of what we're seeing now, the stronger hurricanes.
Well, the Prime Minister is incorrect because the more money a people in a society have, is the more they can invest in stronger buildings, in rebuilding the stuff quicker when damaged.
Yeah, but hold on. Let's take a step back. Because I guess the context in which the Prime Minister was speaking, right, was we're seeing storms getting stronger and stronger at this point. Let's be frank. Probably Category 5 storms were something that you rarely saw previously, right? Let's be frank. That's just reality. You couldn't put 10 Category 5 storms in 2 years together.
They've been happening all the time. It's
but
just
hold
that
on,
one happened
man.
to be in our area.
That's what I'm saying. You had these storms were happening, but realistically, you weren't seeing them as frequent as they are now, right? But what I'm saying is, even if you build, because when Hurricane Dorian and Maria and Irma passed, let's be frank, our building codes in the Caribbean region were built to a certain extent to match those particular storms, right? But then now we're seeing that storms are clocking 200 kilometers per hour to 50 kilometers per hour. So even if you build, you still have to adjust because things are still getting stronger and stronger. So the point is, even if you build, no matter how much resource you throw behind it, realistically you'll still be impacted at some point significantly by these storms.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I don't recall anything that I've said that say we're going to get impacted. As a matter of fact, based upon what I've said, obviously I'm saying, yes, we're going to get impacted. But what I am saying is that the more money people have, is the more you're better able to deal with that impact. The less money a society have, is the less money that society, is the less able that society is to deal with whatever impact. But yes, you're going to be impacted one way or the other. Just that your recovering from the impact depends on how wealthy your economy is and your society is. Now, the UN, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change have said, the last thing I've heard them said is that they have not seen any trend that hurricanes are frequently getting stronger.
Okay.
More frequent.
Okay. Oh, that one I will have to challenge you on. And I have not seen that report, because the reports that I've been seeing, both from climate officials as well as UN officials, they have said that realistically the storms are getting stronger and stronger. That one I have to challenge you on that one, because that's from information that I have seen.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I would just have to text you also from the report.
Please
and
do,
the,
or you can tell us where we can actually find the report.
Hello?
I was saying, if not, you can also tell us where to find the report, because, like I said, information that we have been receiving from officials, interviews that we have done, our experts, our colleagues from across the region internationally, research papers that we have seen, I've read, these things are saying that, hey, storms are getting stronger and stronger. So that one I have to challenge you on.
Yeah, go on the IPCC website.
I can't do that right
should
now.
Have it
I'll probably after the show.
Yes, obviously. But what I'm saying is that, yes, so what I'm saying is that the less money people have, okay, when they hear and see storms coming, is the more frightened they're going to get. Because if the storm come in their area and they're impacted, they know they don't have the money to take care of this and to take care of that. And so therefore, the buildings and so on, it's going to take a whole lot longer to rebuild and that sort of stuff. I'm going to put them in terrible financial position. But when a society is wealthier and the people in society have more money to invest in buildings and to, if impacted, quickly build them back and that sort of stuff, the less scared and frightened people are going to be over these natural disasters.
Caller? Well, I guess the caller dropped off there. He can call back. Yes. So let me take one quick ad before we wrap the show, and we'll take one caller before we close. So we'll acknowledge our partner one last time. Sorry for that caller who dropped off there. One last time, and then we'll come back and wrap the show.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Here are your husband's Value Mart IGA specials. Running July 11th to July 24th. Now, our Value Club Blue Tag specials. Essential Everyday Barbecue Sauces, $7.99. Dunkin' Heinz Cake Mix, just $5.99. Philadelphia Cream Cheese Spreads, $13.99. IGA or Essential Everyday Frozen Waffles, $10.99. Buyer's Ice Cream, just $22.99. Dawn Dish Detergent, $12.99. And now our very low weekly
Value Deals. Essential Everyday Pasta, $4.99. Essential Everyday Pasta Sauce, $9.99. Most Honey Bunches of Oats, $12.99. La Yogurt, $3.39. Equaline Hydrogen Peroxide, $6.99. Equaline Mouthwash, $10.99. Shop Smart, Shop Value Mart. Tell them in Spanish.
Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí en Value Mart.
And we're back here on Voices. Before I go to the phone line, I just wanted to read this comment someone sent me. Good afternoon. Concerning crime, there is talk about the whole of society approach. However, the counselors, pastors, medical doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, private sector leaders, etc., have been brought to a common table for discussion and actions going forward. I guess the person meant that they have been brought to the table and they are probably crafting action plans that can be implemented going forward. We go back to the phone line. Caller, good afternoon. Okay, we missed. So we missed that caller there. We have time for one caller. Caller, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Nice to get in. On the issue of crime, the issue of crime is a political issue. I don't know if you might agree with me that during the election time, you could see how some of these misguided youths are treated. And then after elections, they are discarded. So they discard them. So it's a political issue. And I realize since the Labour Party has become the dominant party in St. Kitts politics, the escalation of crime continue. So you have to tie the crime to the governing party right now. You go look at it. Most of these youths, there are little opportunities for them. You look at the program like the STEP program. Once it was called PEP. Before that it was YES. And you look at how they allow these programs to develop. Most of these young guys, they go out. He had a point they used to go out 7 o'clock and done 7:30 and get a full day pay. You see? So they had more time than they had to do all kind of things except work.
So hold on, caller. So caller, what I want to ask you is, as you mentioned that they have a lot of time on their hand, what do you believe, or what are some of the solutions you believe that we can actually implement to tackle the problem? Because I know you started by saying that crime is a political problem, which is what we acknowledge, as you're saying, is the problem. How do we deal with the problem?
Okay, look at it. How robust is our sporting program? Can you help me there?
Well, that's a deep question that I don't have all the answers for right now. I could give you an answer, but we don't have all the answers.
And Guyana answer. People look at sports, they look at entertainment as a way out of poverty, right? But in St. Kitts and Nevis, they don't do that. We once had a robust sporting program. The basketball coach and them used to follow young people. I guess you probably old enough to remember that, right? So the youth used to channel their energy and the basketball court and the football field and the cricket pitch. As a matter of fact, we also had lawn tennis being played here in St. Kitts, and we had a good fellow. We had a good amount of young people were involved in lawn tennis. The same thing when you come on volleyball. Right now you can't say find young people to play volleyball. So a lot of things goes to policies of the government. You look at you're talking about culture and this new creative economy and so. But when you look at it, what is the depth of the investment? It's just words. The young people have little opportunities. Look, if somebody, let's say somebody want to go to university and they come from a poor family, what is the chance for them? How will they get in? They can't break the bank. They cannot go to the bank. How will they get to go to university? You will tell them, okay, go ahead and find work and save your money to go to university. But then, where they find employment? It's a serious issue, you know. We could say police got to do this, and before you reach to police and so, we got to fix it. Look at agriculture. Agriculture have a way could generate many jobs. But what is the government involvement in agriculture? How serious they are with it? These are serious issues. People got to know when they're voting, how they are voting. Because it's a political issue. That's where you see there's so much crime in the place. Because after election, especially the Labour Party, they forget people. They are very good at that. They use the young guys, them paint up the walls, them make mischief with people. They encourage them to be lawless. everything wrong is okay. They look at it and they leave it as that. They could be lawless as much as they want.
Caller. I wouldn't necessarily say that they encourage anybody to do lawlessness. That's not me, because I cannot make that determination. No, hold on, caller. Right.
Huh?
I was saying, hold on. I don't agree with you saying that's what they encourage them to do. Right. So I wouldn't want you to go along that line. I mean, that's your opinion, but I can't support you saying, hold on, man, caller. I can't support you saying that.
I understand you saying that, but I'm asking you, have you ever been around election time? What do you think the kind of silly season?
Yeah, but that's the thing. I cannot say that the Labour Party supports the young people to do wrong. I cannot say that. So right. So I wouldn't necessarily have you reiterate that. But make your point, but try to stay away from that, please.
Historical buildings and all. When they get the paint, then they do that. Who they get the paints from?
But hold on, caller.
No, I just asked him, yeah.
Caller, I understand what you're saying, right? I want you to make your point. But what I'm telling you is just shy away from saying that is what the Labour Party is allowing them to do. I wouldn't say I would allow you to say that for the Labour Party, the People's Action Movement, PLP, CCM, or NRP. I wouldn't necessarily agree with you saying that, but I want you to make your point.
Okay, I will not say that publicly, since you don't want me to say it. But the reality is what it is. We've been around. You're part of the society, which I am a part of. You see things happen. You know what was happening during election time. Are you still there?
I'm listening to you.
Yeah, am I not speaking the truth? We see things happen that don't normally happen during election time. We see the same young people. Okay, look at it. You're going to have the young people going around with vehicles. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people in a car. They allow these things to happen. Isn't that against the law? Isn't that lawlessness? You see people going around smoking the marijuana in the public. Isn't that against the law? But it's encouraged. It's allowed. So after election, how are you going to tell them stop doing it now? How are you going to tell them behave themselves? You go around and they cuss people. They say all kind of things to people. Make confusion with people during election. How are you going to tell them stop it after election? Thank you for your time.
All right, thanks, caller. Well, yes, there you had it. That was the Voices program for today. I know people may not necessarily generally agree with my approach to the program, but again, I do not allow people to say information that I cannot personally verify. I understood what the caller was saying, but I cannot verify whether or not one particular political establishment allows people to do these things, because I don't have the information. Nobody has ever been charged. So that's how I approach things. If I can't verify the necessary information, I will not allow it to go through. So that is just my approach to dealing with it. That's how I approach dealing with news. If we can't verify something, we don't necessarily run with it. So that's just my approach and how I deal with stuff. So, but nevertheless, I was your host, Jermine Abel, sitting in today for your co-hosts, Jamster and Socrates. It was really good being in your company today. We were discussing the issue of crime and violence and trying to find the best solutions in terms of dealing with that particular problem, as well as how prepared is St. Kitts and Nevis when it comes to the issue of the hurricane season. How prepared are we? Regional leaders are meeting they're meeting in Grenada against the backdrop of the devastation that occurred over there from Hurricane Beryl. They're going to be down there in Grenada this weekend, and the Prime Minister is likely to also be attending. As you heard in the midday news, he's going to be one of the issues that's on the agenda is likely going to be climate change and the loss and damage fund. So all of that's going to be discussed as we continue to talk about preparations for the Atlantic hurricane season. Yes. On a note, Jamster will be back with you on Wednesday. He'll be here in the hot seat on Wednesday. Yes. And I will be back with you on Saturday for Inside the News. Yes. I'll be back with you on Saturday for Inside the News. In the meantime, do enjoy the rest of your week. It's Monday. The week is just getting started. So, do enjoy and stay tuned.